Welcome to episode 211 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host, Tommy, and bringing you fun and exciting show tonight as we will dive slightly into the Phillies as they are coming off probably their two funnest games of the year. And geez, 4 out of the last 5 have been kind of fun, although tonight not looking so good. And then we're going to cover the late pick 4, Churchill Downs, which the marquee race is the Stephen Foster, which is race 11 right before. There is one race after that, so we're going to cover 2 races leading up to it, and then the final race, which will be the pick 4. Let's see who we got. As always, co-host Jason Sada.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, what's going on? We got Jimmy the Chalk.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Jimmy the Chalk. And we did mention that we're going to talk about horses, so with that, who else will we have but the one, the only Jimmy D?
Hi, everybody. And if there ever was a beautiful dreamer for the Stephen Foster, it's me.
And another special is that Jimmy D gets to talk about his, Terry, close your ears, his other love affair, Sovereignty, as we go through the Stephen Foster. But let's jump in. We do have a big show tonight. So it is brought to you by Jim and Nina's Pizza. You tried the rest. Now go ahead and try the best. All right, just a quick note. Nobody on the podcast had Wyndham Clark for the U.S. Open, of course, but which we'll get into when we do the Open. We did continue on with our Make the Cut bet that we give out. So we're 3 for 3. So we're going to go for the clean sweep when the Open comes out in a few weeks from now. So
I wonder if anybody parlayed it.
You would be doing pretty well if anybody continued to parlay that.
Probably about 5 figures. Probably about 5 figures, I think.
Well,
we have to figure that out. We should calculate that. Chalky, we'll calculate that. No, you don't have to do it now.
We could bring it up on the Open, but
if anybody has parlayed that, they can Venmo Broad Street Hustle at gmail.com.
A tip would be nice.
Yeah,
that's any donation.
Jim is not paying the bills these days as the only sponsor.
No,
times are tough over there too. All right, let's jump into it. So we said we're going to talk about a little about the Phillies, and like I said, coming off their 2 most exciting games as they came back in the the first game 2 nights ago, they came back in the 8th, and then again in the 9th, or 7th in the 8th, no, 8th and 9th, and then last night again down to their last out, last strike. They won it. I think it was the first time in 15 years 2 back-to-back games were won when team was on their last strike of the game, last out, last strike.
Modern history was the stat I saw. I don't know what that entails, but I think it's more than 15.
Yeah,
I thought I heard 15, but yeah. And then the 2 games before that was the fake cycle. The cycle and Schwarber's 3 home run game. And then the game after that, Schwarber hit it was just like some fun baseball last 4 or 5, and they find themselves only 4.5 games back of the Braves, which their Braves are struggling right now with injuries. So let's jump into it. Jason, what's your thoughts? You're saying that they need bullpen help is looking more and more like that's what they need at the trade deadline.
Yeah. So tonight's actually the midway point after tonight's game. So they're 44 and 36 now. Tonight's not looking good. It was 5. They were losing 5-0 last I saw. So even if they lose this game, they're on pace to win 88 games. I think they'll slightly better that, but I think we're going to talk more about midway point stuff next week. But listen, the last 2 games shows that they have the heart to make comebacks. That could be big playoff time, when you have that, kind of have that mojo of being able to, you never say die, the game's never over. So that's kind of exciting. Like you mentioned, Tom, I think their biggest key is they don't have a setup, man. They just don't. Once you get to the 9th inning, you're strong with the run, but Kerkering, I don't want to see him past the 7th inning.
If you put him in any pressure situation, he can't do it.
Yeah, he can't do it. Can't do it. Keller's been awful. Alvarado's terrible. That's Jimmy D. I'm sure I'll have something to say about him. So they desperately need a setup guy. I think that's their biggest need. I think it's a bigger need than a right-handed hitting outfielder. I think that's their biggest need. And we could stop there. I mean, I have to find something to complain about because they've been playing well. So,
Yeah, Chalky, Phillies.
Yeah, I mean, the needs haven't changed, and I think the priority that we all kind of agreed upon, remains the same. They're starting to hit. I'm not going to take that for granted that they're not going to want to get some kind of bat. Because what's his name? Derek Hill, Hall, whatever, isn't going to be hitting opposite field home runs every night, pinch hitting, for sure. But the watching the bullpen struggle in some of these games just has shed more light on what Jason has been saying from as far back as we've talked about it, which was you need another eighth inning guy. We know Chapman is the guy that I think we all kind of agreed upon would be our best pick. There's going to be a lot of teams going after him. So, I don't know what plan B would be in those cases. You got teams like San Francisco that are looking to sell already, and then a couple other ones that are towards the bottom that maybe, you have to start looking at alternatives, assuming Chapman is going to be the top reliever on the market. But, it was a fun, it's been a fun week of games or so when you consider how they came back the last two nights, and the way they, kind of dismantled the Mets on national TV on back-to-back evenings over the weekend, like you said, Tom. So, moving forward, what Jason said about the record. So tonight is their last game as it sits now before the All-Star break against a team that is above 500. So the Nats are one game above 500 going tonight. If they hold on, it'll be two. Phillies have three more against the Mets, three against the Royals, three against the Reds, and three against the Tigers. All those teams are at least 5 games under 500 or more. And the Pirates, they have 4. The Pirates are currently 40-40, so they're right at the middle. So the Braves are not playing well. I'm going to say the Phillies are going to be in first place by the All-Star break, but they definitely have a schedule in their favor to make up some more ground going into the break and give themselves, a cushion, certainly in the wild card race for the second half. So, crazy endings the last couple nights. But they're finding ways to win games, which is what you want to say.
Yeah, Jimmy D, I think we might have asked you briefly last time you were on, but we haven't really gotten your opinion overall of the Phillies as the season has gone on. We always, we're always on, we talk, but so you could go a little longer if you have a little bit more, because you
Sure.
don't have to just touch on the last week. You can kind of give us your overall opinion of the season and going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I promised myself I was going to say some positive things about a team that I see in person 20 times a year. And it depends on the night on whether I want to say something positive or negative. It's just so inconsistent. I mean, you're getting just franchise years from guys like Sanchez, Schwarber, and Marsh. And with Harper, Wheeler, Duran, you would think that this team is easily going to win 95, 96, 97 games. But as they sit, and as you said, we're at the halfway point after tonight, and we're sitting on 44. That's right on the Vegas number of 89.5, which is almost unbelievable, depending on when you made that bet. But and I agree, Jay. I think that the team should play a little bit better after a 9-19 start to be at 44 wins at the break, or at the halfway point. I guess that's a positive. But this bullpen is atrocious. I don't know what they're going to do with Kirkering. Every guy that begins, I won't say anything about Alvarado because you guys know that I thought this guy was washed up before that. The enhanced drugs that he was taking last year, which is a joke because he's lost a lot of off his fastball. He can't be. His breaking balls uncontrollable. Comes in once in a while. He's good once in a while. He's bad. He's so inconsistent. It's ridiculous.
The only thing he hasn't lost is weight. He needs Wegovy or whatever.
Yeah, Jim. I mean, what are you going to do? Chalky, you mentioned Chapman. I would love to get Chapman as a setup guy for Duran. I think that would enable you to get a pitcher 6 innings, but then you got Nola, who goes 5 innings and he explodes. $172 million contract. You owe him $99 million on that contract, and he explodes. I mean, he's probably the biggest disappointment on this team, going from a number 1 to a number 4 that's just hanging on. And it just galls me that they couldn't go out on the limb and sign the guy playing up in Boston right now, Ranger, rather than Nola. But I understand you say committed to an individual because of his lifelong commitment to the organization. I agree with that. Loyalty is everything in my game, but in this case, it's hurting you. It's hurting you big time. This is a team. Their OPS. No one on this team except Morse has a bigger OPS than 700. And 700 is like sort of like your average mark. Now, which is unbelievable. Down in their offensive categories, I jotted some things down, but in some of these offensive categories, they're just terrible. They don't hit consistently. What do you need? You need a right-handed bat? I'm sure you do. You tried a shot with Garcia. That didn't work out, and hopefully it never has to work out again. I can't believe that they'd even invite him back to camp after this year with that injury that he's got. So, you've got nothing. They're even playing with this little lefty lineup, and that's why you've got left-handers coming in the first inning. I said to Jason, we happened to be talking that how in the world can we be carrying 3 catchers on this team? And the other day we start Mesa in a scheduled loss. You didn't. Miraculously, like you said, the games were exciting over the last couple of days. But how could you start Mesa when you're carrying Marchand, Stubbs, and Real Muto? You carry 2 catchers. You don't carry 3. And there's other guys who could catch on this team. Sorber came up as a catcher. I mean, if it was an emergency situation, what do you get to that? 1 out of every 500 games? I just think they're not going to be to get to the World Series. You got to beat one team. And this is probably, Tommy, and thanks for giving me a little time to mention this. You got to beat one team to get to the World Series. If you get that far, and everybody knows it's the Dodgers. So who do you have to beat? Dreyer, Lauer, Scott, Stewart, Vezina, Robleski, and Snell. Why do I name those pitchers? I didn't name Ohtani or Yamamoto because they're all left-handed pitchers. How do you beat that team if that's what they're going to throw at you in the playoffs?
I think that I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, I think that's a great point because I should have brought up because I meant to. I just didn't read my notes, but they can't hit lefties. They cannot hit lefties at all.
There it is.
If I threw left-handed, they wouldn't hit me. They can't hit lefties. And the main reason is Trey Turner. He's the guy that's got to be hitting lefties. And he's horrendous this year. He's the main reason that they don't hit lefties. He's the one who's got to be doing it.
Jay, I agree 100%. Guy's batting .220. He should have a guy who led the league. I know it was a weak year last year, but still led the National League in hitting. He's got to be 50 to 60 points under his average, and he's the setup guy. So he's really the straw that stirs the drink. I know it's Schwarber and Harper. I get it, but he's got to get on. He's got to start it. Almost like the other night, that base hit started that miraculous comeback in the ninth. Yep. I root for the guy. He could steal bases. He could do everything. But is he on a down bound of his career? Is he worth that price that they paid for him? Absolutely not. You're getting a career year. But I was one of the guys that said Logan O'Hoppe trade's going to bury us. Yep. And it did not. Marsh has come back. I'm absolutely wrong with that. Marsh has come back. He's had a great, unexpectedly great year. I hope he starts in the All-Star game. He deserves it. But now you got other guys struggling that shouldn't be struggling. We got off to a 9-19 start. You know what you got to do to improve that? You got to play 600 baseball to get to 540. That's too hard to do. And Chalky had said, this is when we got to make hay. You're right, Chalk. This is it. Against the Kansas Cities, against the Pittsburghs, against the Mets. This is the time to do it. And maybe they are turning it on. I don't know. But without that right-hander, one of the things I'd like to pose, and I know I heard Jason say, and Tommy, I know you haven't taken a shot yet, and Jimmy, you did, but to come back to you, if you had one move to make for the Philadelphia Phillies, what would you make?
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks back, and I probably hasn't changed. I know, Jason, you said the Chapman deal was probably like,
Yeah.
what,
Bullpen,
lead-
back end of the bullpen for me. Yep.
yeah. I mean, it boils down to: do you go after that 4 or 5 starter? Do you go after back end in a bullpen, or do you go after right-handed bat? I mean, it depends on what world you live in. So, like, if that right-handed bat can be like a Buxton or something, like a game, a change, a play that's really going to change it, then you're going to do that. Like, it all depends on who it is. If it's just going to be your Baders of the world, like, would you, you probably have your best shot to get an elite back end of a bullpen guy rather than a starter or a right-handed bat, right? So it depends on what you want to really, or what you think you can get. I mean, I want a right-handed bat, but I don't think you're going to get a right-handed bat that's going to be a big name or like somebody that isn't just serviceable.
To me, they won the World Series by having a 7-inning game because Madsen and Lidge were unhittable that year, and even to an extent Romero. But I'll leave it at.
I mean, the World Series, didn't Romero pitch? Did he pitch? No, he pitched the 7th, right? Romero.
He always would come in. I mean, really, it was
I think
a
Romero
6-inning
might have been the
game.
8th in the game.
Romero
It might
was
have been
very
the 8th.
good.
He got that double play. It might have been the 8th inning.
Yeah, Romero was
Yeah.
very good. Madsen, obviously, and Lidge. So that's my thing. If you shorten the game, you could get by with. I mean, you have 2 aces already, and then Luzardo is, should be. But I think if you shorten the game, that's the move.
Yeah, I think there's more potential for an impact arm out of the bullpen.
Right.
Or at least not I'd say impact, but a player that will improve where you're at right now. Okay,
Right.
let's just say we just went through the 6, 7, the 8 guys. Even if you don't get a Chapman, whoever that B tier player is probably, I think, going to have more impact than what the B tier right-handed bat would end up being. Yeah, if you can get Buxton or Chapman, I'm probably going Buxton, but they've already said no, we're not trading him. He doesn't
Right.
want to waive his. So
Right.
that's not that's not on the table as far as it seems. I mean, but if you look at the Dodgers series last year, yeah, they didn't hit except for the one game really, but the 3 losses where there was failures, it wasn't the starting pitching that failed them; it was the bullpen that failed them at times.
Yeah, Strom
So,
gave
does
up
that
a
mean-
3-run homer. You win game
Yeah.
1. You have
Does that mean that a better bullpen would have won that series? I'm not trying to live in a dream that says they were that close to beating the eventual world champions, but they didn't get slaughtered by them the way that they did. That they rolled through Milwaukee in the next series for sure last year. So, I mean, you're going to get to those are going to be tight games to begin with, and yeah, I would rather get a B-level reliever than a B-level or C-level right-handed bat because I think that improves your team more if you have to choose one or the other.
Look, I mean, it's hard. We know all these games in the playoffs all just come down to clutch, timely hitting, bullpen. Like you don't know. You need guys like the Eddie Rosarios to come out of nowhere and be, a 2-out nightmare on every time he's up at the plate. Like, I would hate to be a Boston podcaster right now when your team's in last place, because we got a second place team in number 1 wild card, and you guys sound like, well, Jimmy D is killing this team. I mean, the old adage of everybody hates the baseball team they watch every day. If you watch the Dodgers every day, you're gonna find something to complain. The bottom line is, since April 25th, they're the first or second best team in baseball, regardless of how they're getting it done. Can't hit, can't pitch, bullpen sucks. Alvarado's fat. They're the second best team in baseball since April 25th. That's the bottom line. I mean,
I heard a really cool stat about Schwarber. So when Schwarber hits a home run for the Phillies since he's gotten here, they win 72% of their games. So if he hits a home run, so that's 116 win clip, right, for a season. So obviously he's not going to hit a home run every game, but I mean, when he hits a home run, they win 3 out of 4 games.
The problem is,
Yeah.
Tom, the only thing that I see, and I hate to be negative about this team, but they have done nothing to get over that hump. Under Thompson, they won more games than any other manager, and under Mattingly, they're off to a better start than Thompson. I mean, so when this team is remembered, when you guys are my age, you're going to say, "Wow, those teams were great." These were the Phillies of what would be me, 76 and 77 and 78, where they were great and couldn't get over that hump.
Look,
I just
the-
haven't
the-
seen them do something to get them there.
The run, the Jimmy Rollins, the Ryan Howard, that group, the 08, 07 run is almost looked at as a disappointment. They won well, and they
They
won
should have
well.
won more than one. They should have
But
won
they
more
right.
than one.
So like like you said, this team is always going to be until everybody. I mean, you watch baseball every day. You watch it to enjoy the game, but everybody's always going to have one foot in, one foot out until they can prove in the playoffs that they can do the things that they haven't been able to do since in 22, 23, 24. Yeah, that's the reality, and it's deservingly so. They deserve that from the fans. But they're still a good baseball team right now.
Yeah. So Jimmy will remember this because you just brought him up. Those teams in the late 70s, they were very good. They couldn't get over the hump. They signed Pete Rose. They still couldn't get over the hump. Then all of a sudden, 1980 rolled around and they did it. So
The Dodgers under Roberts did it for years, right? Until
Yeah.
it wasn't until the COVID year. The COVID year that they
and they
they
finally
finally
did.
won.
COVID
Now
year
they're
was Fugazi because that was a 60-game season, and
Yeah.
the Dodgers were notorious for being great short regular season teams and then not performing the playoffs.
Yeah, so, I mean,
really, 2 years ago was their first legit, in my
Right.
mind, championship in the last whatever.
the Atlanta
40 years
Braves won
almost.
14 divisions in a row, right, or something like
Yeah,
that.
Well, them in the
And-
90s. They were the team in the 90s. They won
won
one
They
one-
World
won
Series.
one World
Right.
Series. I mean, and you're right. They haven't got over the hump in the sense of win the championship. Okay, they've been doing this in reverse. They, when this team finally broke through and got to the playoffs, they went to the World Series and went to Game 6, and it's been slowly going backwards since then. I'm not saying this is the only reason, but what have these teams been missing that team had? Big bopper from the right-handed side of the plate because Hoskins got hurt in spring training the next year. And, he's going to hit 210, but he's got 25 to 30 home runs or whatever. And they have not replaced that right-handed power in the lineup since he got hurt in spring training. And you see,
you could argue the years that they when they beat the Braves the last couple of years in the play. Cassiano on the right side was dominant in those series. He had games where he hit like
He
3
got-
consecutive home.
Here's the
Like,
thing I'll say.
like that right-handed bat. Yeah, it's huge.
Look at since we won't go back to the World Series year that they got there and lost to Houston because that was a pretty successful year. The next year they lose to Arizona, right? Why did they lose? Craig Kimbrell,
bullpen.
right? The next year was the Mets. Why did they lose? Hoffman, Strom, giving up bullpen.
Yeah, then they lose game
Right
one. Didn't
here.
they lose game one from the bullpen blew game one, right? The
Yeah.
Wheeler game?
Yeah.
It was
Last
1-0,
year.
but yeah.
What wound up costing them in the end,
Right.
Kirkering, bullpen. It's
And
bullpen.
Strom
To
in
me,
game
it's bullpen. And Strom in game one gave up the home run to Tejas Fernandez. Right. They need to solidify the bullpen. Bottom line.
All right. Anything else before we still got it? We got the late pick for Churchill. Anything else, Jimmy D?
No, we're good. I think we crucified this team enough. I think we're good.
So I said I'd hate to be a podcaster in Boston where your team's actually in last place. Trying to talk about it, but all right, let's move over from what God, I'm not gonna say. Let's just move over to the races, horse racing. We're covering Churchill Downs. It's the late pick 4, summer race 9. So our pick 4 will kick off at 5:00 Eastern time. Now, just a little disclaimer, and I feel like we always do this. The weather leading
is a
up to
big
Saturday,
one.
not looking great. So it could go either way. We're going to cap it straight out. We're going to cap it for fast pretty much. We're going to cap the turf for the turf, but you might see scratches. You might see races off. There's no way for us to predict it. So keep in mind, just take it for what it is, but keep an eye on the weather. But it is Saturday, and it does have the Steve Foster It's a big one for older horses. All right, Jason, I'll let you kick off. Race 9, it's 6.5. The Bango, it's a grade 3 on the dirt.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, I think the dirt races are very easy to handicap. I'm singling 2 cornucopian for Baffert and Pratt here. He should sit off the 3, Harrodsburg, Oba. The 3 is won't speed 2 area track or, speeds crazy that day. Might be a nice exacta 2 over 3. Maybe 3 hangs for second. But I'm singling the 2 here. I thought the 5 could get second also. So, maybe 2 over 3-5 exacta, 2 with 3-5, 3-5 trifecta or something. But 2 cornucopian single.
Yeah, I agree with Jason and disagree with Jason at the same time. 2 to me, single. I think Baffert comes down here, wins with Pratt. Kind of exploded with Pratt last race, ran its top on the buyer figure. Going to sit a perfect inside trip, come out, tip out late and explode. Where I disagree is I actually think Dr. Veckman, the 6 is going to get second. So I see it chalky for first and second. I know he said maybe 3 or 5. 5 I like for the board, but I don't know. I just see this as Stone Cold 2-6 exacta. But for pick 4 purposes, I will single cornucopia as well, the 2. Chalky?
Single the 2 cornucopia and move on.
Jimmy D, anything else? Anything different?
It's not much to offer here. Yeah, I don't think he's going to sit off anybody, Jason. I think this horse, if Harrodsburg's trying to run with him, he's going to be sadly mistaken that he can even get the lead from this horse. I think he gets loose on a lead. That Aristides race was just a warm up for this one. I just want to say one thing though: the Bango. Not only do we prognosticate here, America, we also educate. Bango was the horse that won the most races at Churchill Downs ever. He won 12 races there. He raced through November of 25, and he is now in. He's a gelding, so he's not in anything but a pasture right now. But cornucopia, I would single. I don't think anybody can run with this horse. Baffert's coming down to win this race. It would be my single.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a race where the gate, whoever gets, if Pratt gets 2 out, he's going to go. If there's a slight bobble, then maybe he could sit off. But yeah, I probably agree with Jimmy D on that too.
And Baffert probably is left in there too, right? I mean, she's run there the last 2 races, so
he's
Baffert
trained at Churchill. He's been trained at Churchill, so yeah, he's there. No question. So all right, let's move on. So this is one of the turf races, one of them that you definitely want to keep an eye on. Like I said, we'll handicap for a regular turf, but it's a mile on the 16th. It's the Wise Dan. It's a grade 2. Kicking off at 5:43. It's race 10. Chalky, where are you at?
So I got 3 here. Going 3 deep. Lagnos, I believe, is the favorite. If I had 2, would be my top pick. He's on a 3 race winning streaks, winning over this strip. His sheet numbers are 2s and 3s, which is more than good enough to beat most of these horses on any day, let alone in this. So I'll keep him on top, which would be his 5th consecutive win, I believe. Second, I'm going to go with the 8, Brilliant Birdie, Shri DeVoe and Hernandez. 5 of 7 at Churchill on this turf, which, as we've said over the years, has been a little quirky since they redid it at times. Was a second in one of his non-2 winning starts here.
Won this race last year.
Won this race last year, has been running behind some of these horses in this company, but I think, we know Will like the track and should be a contender. And then my third choice would be Chasing the Crown, the 4 for 8 on the Churchill turf, 3 seconds as well. Pratt's on board, has been running behind Lagos, probably just a couple low, but you got Pratt and Maker hooking up on the Churchill turf. Hard to go against that or ignore it, and the horse has hung around there. So that would be my third pick, but in order, 2, 8, 4.
Jimmy D.
I'm going to go a little bit further out. I'm going to go at the Dresden Road, the 6. He'd be my top selection in this particular race. Don't forget, that's a Pletcher guy training this horse. That's Pletcher's horse. This guy's just sitting in for that suspension. This is his third race off that quarter cycle. I like that. He's 1-for-1 at Churchill. This Canadian wonder, man. I'll tell you what, he was never worse third in his lifetime. In 17 races, that's 8, 5, and 4. That's impressive. I don't particularly wish that it rains for this particular horse if the weather's inclement that day. But given everything else, I think this horse, but I think the race, both turf races, because of the question about whether it's going to be yielding or soft, or the turf will be off somehow or another because of the moisture. I think you got to spread a little bit in this race. We've alluded to it already. They're going to have 2 singles. So consequently, I would spread in the middle races. And here I go with the 2 and the 1. Laganos because of that win streak. He's tough. Another horse for a course. And I like the 1. I would put him in for a price. He may get loose on the lead. He might get run away with it. Maker took this horse and immediately improved him. I think he's another horse, third form off the cycle. I like that third back from a layoff. And he's under that new trainer with Michael Maker. So I would give you the 2, 1, 6 being my top selection.
Yeah, I agree with QED here. I think this is a race you probably want to, if you're going to look for a price, you got to spread a little bit in the turf races, right? The dirt races are 4 and 4. I thought this one is more of a spread than the last race, the Tepin. So this is where I'm going to take my shot. And I do have chalk where I spread here, but as my top pick, since I'm going to spread, I'm actually going to use the 1 as my top pick. Silent Heart for Maker, just like Jimmy D said. I mean, we've seen Maker claim these horses, fire them right into stakes races and be successful. We've really seen him do it with horses that don't look like they can go deep far, and then all of a sudden he gets them to go further and further and further. Now this one's only 1 mile and 1/16. The horse is running him 1 at 1 mile and 1/16, but he's coming out of a straight mile race. But I do see it as the horse is going to get out early. The only other one that's kind of close to the lead is like the Laganos, right? He's the one that's going to sit right off. I don't know. I could see them just assuming this horse is going to come back to the field a little bit and kind of let him get out there. And Churchill's quirky, man. You some days the speed keeps going. Some days it's deeper and it doesn't. We don't know. So I'm going to take my shot and go with the 1 as my top pick. And I love the odds, 10-1. I don't know. You might get 10-1. I mean, there's a lot of good horses in here. Obviously, scratches could hurt you, but the 1's my top pick. And then I'll just go through my other horses, and they're pretty formful, so I'm not going to go crazy. The 2 for obvious reasons, the 4 for obvious reasons, the 6 for obvious reasons, and the 8 for, like Chalky said, just horse for the course. I don't really love the horse, but can't get past the 5 or 7. Some thoughts. I didn't like Fort Washington. I thought maybe that horse could take some money, so that could help maybe your odds a little bit, which was kind of the only horse I thought could take some money. Maybe Flying Mohawk because of the the Derby, and he's been like the Jason Worth horse and all that stuff. So maybe some of the prices can be good, but yeah, I'm 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Jason?
I'm 5 deep. I have all Tommy's horses, so I'll be quick. It is a tough race to me. I'll say Laganos is my top pick because I mean he's a deserving favorite. I mean he's won with him with his Lasix. Jose Ortiz has been maybe the best jockey, in the last 4 or 5 months. So he's on fire. He's proven at the track and distance. Dresden rode a 6 with IRAD. Versatile, can close or shit off. 4 chasing the crown with Maker and Pratt. I mean, loves Churchill Downs, and I like Pratt on closers. He times. He's great at timing the close. The 1, I mean, like you guys both mentioned, could go gate the wire. You have to use him. And then I threw Brilliant Birdie in, who's 5 for 7 at the track. Just because I'm short in the other dirt race, I'll go 5 deep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. I mean, it kind of feels like it's where we're all going. All right, let's move on. This is the big race, the Stephen Foster. It's 1 mile and 1/8 on the dirt, scheduled for 6:14. So in years past, they ran this card at night. I think years past under the lights. I don't know if it was a couple years, and then they think recently, definitely last year, maybe even the year before, they went back to just their regular daytime racing. Kind of cool under the lights, of course, but this is later, but it should still be light out. It's a Foster now. Jimmy D, it's kind of your turn in the rotation, but you deserve to decide if you want to hold out to go last, or do you
I'll
want
go
the fans
last.
not to
I'll go
wait?
last. With my surprise pick, I'll go
All right,
last.
we'll let you go last. So Jason, unfortunately, it's back to you in the rotation. So with the Foster, where are we looking?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's at most going to be a 5-horse race because the
Yeah.
6 and 7 are scratching, and the 1 might even
Possibly.
scratch. So maybe a 4-horse race. But you know, you have to single the 3 sovereignty. The thing that I think is insane is you look at his thoroughgraph pattern. Is it not the absolute perfect textbook thoroughgraph pattern? You know, he runs a 5, then he runs a 1 and pairs the 1, then he runs a 0 and pairs the 0, and now he's run 3 straight 2 negatives.
Well, and I think the part that's is even bigger of a thing is he comes off his 3-year-old season, right? He ran the -2 to finish his 3-year-old season. So he comes off you always looked at how did they start their 4-year-old season. So he starts his 4-year-old season running a top, right? He pairs his top. So he runs his -2. He doesn't run the 0 to look. He runs. So now his new floor is -2. So you would assume his second start of his 4-year-old season is only going to propel him. And he had new dimensions where he ran he was a speed horse on the lead. So he ran a style that he doesnn't want to run, who maybe just that's going to be his style. And he still pairs a top to start his 4-year-old season. It's like Jason said, the perfect thoroughgraph line.
The thing that sucks for me though is like I wanted to really play a straight 3-4 exacta here.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna pay. But I thought Baeza was a good horse to, a mod exacta pretty much.
Sure.
But it ain't worth it. So I'm singling the 3. We're going.
Yeah, what was sad too is like there was even with 7 horses. There were 7 horses in the race. You had 3 trainers in the whole race? You had Safi had 3 horses.
3.
Right, Maker. I mean, now it's going to be. It's like, come on. It's great that they're great horses, and I thought the race would have, but yeah. I mean, I gave my dissertation on the thoroughgraph, so I'm single to sovereignty as well. Chalky.
I am not single to sovereignty. I have 2 tickets. If it's a 4-horse race, one was going to be an all because I'm not going to let Baeza beat me, even though I think he's the least likely winner of the 4. I'm also using magnitude, and his sheets are certainly not where sovereignty is. But he's won a couple races in a row now. He's lost these horses last year. He might not be on their level yet, but he's coming back from beating what at the time was the best dirt horse in the world in Forever Young, in the Middle East, where Forever Young has run well consistently.
Yeah, but
that
Median track is a highway. You make the lead, you usually win the race. And
Forever Young has won not on the lead over there, so it's not like that was impossible for him to have won, but I'm not going to disagree with that. But anyway, so for 1 ticket, it'll be a 3-5 for me. In a short field, if he starts loping along a little bit, sovereignty should be close and should make a difference, but it's a 4-horse race, so 3-5 for the main ticket.
All right, Jimmy D, the spotlight is yours.
I want the world to remember that I had sovereignty at $18. You're going to get him at 18 cents in this race. He's coming off a 238-day layoff. But let me say this. He won't only win the Stephen Foster. He's going to win the Whitney. He's going to win the Jockey Cup, Colt Cup, and the Breeders' Cup. He is far superior. Mott says that this horse had baby fat on him in the last race, whatever the hell that means. But he said he was 80% in that race, and he gave, and he was a front-end battle going 135 and 4 to the mile. And then, White Barrio comes juiced up with Sappy Joseph and eats him up in the stretch. And he didn't eat him up by much. He beats him by 2 lengths. If this horse is right, he really could be something special. I see these horses get beat all the time. But if Mott would let Baeza beat Sovereignty, there'll be a woman in a burqa that will kill him outside the stable later on that night. There's no way in the world that's going to happen. Sovereignty's a single for me, and just like the earlier cornucopia horse was. This horse is really something special. I think he should really come into his own. What you were saying about the buyers is totally correct. The thoroughbreds are totally correct. Who knows what this horse can run ultimately. He's really going to be difficult to beat in a 4-horse or 5-horse race.
All right, let's see how we all get paid here as we finish the pick 4 off. It's race 12. It's the Tepin non-graded race. It's kicking off at 6:44. It's about on the turf. All right, I think Chalky. Who do you got?
So I'm not going deep here, but I'm also not using the morning line favorite. So my top pick is the 9, Tim Tam. Bauer, Alvarado, ran close second and a third in slightly longer races here on the Churchill turf. So it's shown that it can run on this turf in good company, dropping down to a non-graded stakes and shortening up to a mile after running 1 1/8, 1 16. This one might be a little more in the wheelhouse. So I'm going to put Tim Tam on top. It's a 23% jockey trainer combo when they do hook up. I'm also using the 3 East Jabip, which is Lynch and Ortiz. Didn't run particularly well last time out in Indiana, but you got Irad on here. Irad can ride anywhere, including Churchill. So 30% combination jockey trainer there. And then the 7, How About Now, who won that race at Indiana. Rusty Arnold. Now, Concepcion, I'll be honest, is not a jockey that I am familiar with because I don't really follow Churchill, but these guys win at a good clip together as well, and they have some good ROI. And look, 2 for 3 at the distance, again, beat some of these horses last time out, 2 in a row. I'll throw it in there as my third pick. So 9, 3, 7 for me in the 12th.
All right, Jason.
So I'm going to go 5 deep here too. This is another tough race for me. I'm also going to toss the morning line favorite, who might not wind up being the morning line favorite, but I'm not using the Kelsey Danner horse or Kelsey Danner, who's won for
Kelsey Grammer.
Him too, Kelsey Danner. He's 1 for 28. 4%. I'm not using that horse in this. 3 Jabip is my top choice for Irad and Lynch. He's 2 for 3 in his career, and both were run with Irad aboard. I'm also going to use the 4 Final Accord for Pratt and Cassie. She was the beaten favorite in the Penn Oaks. Now she's getting Pratt. Big jockey upgrade there. Now I'm going to contradict myself because I'm going to use the 9 TM, even though Bauer.
I was waiting for you to use the 9 so I could point out that Phil Bauer's stats are just as bad.
Just as bad, and he's a little shady. So
he's a big cheat. So
there could be.
He must have got caught with something, so he's not winning. Right,
but I do like this horse. So he's 2 for 2 at a mile. He's run well in some classy races. So I'm going to use her. I'm also using both Walsh horses, the 11 Turner's Charm for Walsh and Curtis. Got a huge closing kick, slight cutback, so maybe that'll help her. And then I'm going to use the 10 Use Me for Walsh and Gaffleone. She also is going to need pace. I think they'll get it. So 5 deep, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, I'm 5 deep here, similar to Jason, although I do have a little bit of I think 1 difference maybe. So I would put the Irad horse as my top pick, the 3 as well. With Irad, the horse is 2 for 2, moves to Saez, doesn't get a great trip at Indiana, kind of close to a fast pace. Didn't seem like it was a great ride, or circumstance wise, it just didn't work out trip wise. So going back to Irad, going to sit a perfect trip. I do think there's a decent amount of speed here, maybe not like crazy speed, but I could see Irad doing his typical, just sits tucked in and then tips out at the exact right time and goes by these horses. You know, I almost would do 2 tickets where I single this horse. And you know, you basically are playing a $4 pick for it. You could play it multiple times. But for this purpose, I'm gonna just give out all 5. So the 3, Pratt's horse, you know, the Cassie Pratt, like Jason said, you know, dropped out of graded races to the Penn Oaks, didn't didn't win, but was the favorite, got second, obvious reasons. I'm gonna not use the 8 as well. I think that horse is probably gonna keep drifting. I don't even think it's gonna be top two horses the odds go, maybe even worse. But I am using the 7. How about now? 2 for 3 on the turf. You know, two of them were at a mile, 2 of the 3, or all 3 at a mile, but 2 wins at a mile. Could also sit a nice one. I like this horse a little bit because doesn't need to be way back, but has a nice closing kick. So maybe if the pace isn't like really fast, but honest enough, it could be the one horse that's coming with the other closers, but just has a better trip and close enough, so can just get to the wire first. Tam, just that Phil Bauer. I want to say, nah, I'm not. I want to say I remember when that horse debuted at Saratoga on the dirt, where it was like a big morning line horse, but then was like crazy bet down to the favorite, and it didn't make sense and didn't win, but ran third. You know, it was just like one of those. I think it was the year Phil Bauer was that last year where he was like unconscious at Saratoga there for a little bit. So I don't know, something shady with that horse. And then to Jason's point, if the pace does really quicken and you're looking for a horse to come late, it was between the 10 and 11. I ultimately went the 11. I like the kick of the 11 a little bit more. The odds having Curtis versus Gaffleone, I do believe, are going to be much different. That Curtis at one time had a really big win percentage at Churchill. Now I saw recently now dropped down to 13%. So maybe just got off to a hot start, or had a particular horse don't follow Churchill at this point. So I'm not 100% sure. But I think the odds are going to be better. So I want that horse if the pace is fast. So ultimately I went 3, 4, 7, 9, 11. Jimmy D, you close it out.
Yeah, we're all around the same numbers, but my top selection, my guys always tell me about, give us a top selection if you're spreading. Well, I give you a top selection, but you got to spread in this race. So let's be serious. The best horse in the race is the 8, but I too will bet against that long layoff since October. But that is the class horse. I don't care who the goofy trainer is, but I like the 7. It's an improving steady line on the buyers. He's getting better and better and better. Concepcion, I don't know anything about either, but as a Midwest jockey, he's held his own for a long time. So, I'm sure he's making money out there. I think this race is a wide open race, especially if you got a slow or yielding turf. I can't imagine in the spread. I'd go back to the 6, which is Bohemian, the jock Red Hot, and he's run a couple good races he's run one real good race and closed like a bullet at Churchill. And then I'd go outside. I'd go outside to the 10. Only because I think Brandon Walsh using, who I like, Brandon Walsh, who's using Gaffleone. Curtis, I think, is really chilled out. The big league kick. Tommy had said the big league kick on the 11. He does have one, but I like the big league kick on the Irish horse, the 10. So I'd spread in that race. I'd go 6, 7 being my top pick, 6, 7, 8, 10. And let's not forget the Tepin, who was the turf champion, winning both side of the ocean and that side of the ocean with Queen Anne State, Royal Ascot. That one great turf female horse. And that's what this race happens to be named for.
All right. Yeah, let's hope the weather does hold out. We get fast dirt, and we're definitely gonna have. I mean, there's weather Thursday tonight, tomorrow, so the turf is probably gonna be on the softer side. But let's just hope the races stay on. Scratches aren't crazy. And with that, let's give out our pick 4s to finish off the show tonight. So, Jason, what is your pick 4? I feel like me, you, and Jimmy D are probably all going to be pretty similar. So we're
pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it for $1, and it'll be $25. Race 9, I'm single on the 2, cornucopian. Race 10, I'm 5 deep, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Race 11, single on 3, sovereignty. And then race 12, I'm going to be 5 deep again, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. And for $1, it's $25.
Okay, and I'll do mine next because it's super close. It's $1. It's 25. It's the same single, the 2, and same as Jason, the 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. The single, the sovereignty 3, and just one difference with Jason in the last 3, 4. I'm using the 7 instead of the 10. So 3, 4, 7, 9, 11, and that's for $1 is $25. Chalky, you're the one that's going to have a little bit of a difference. So then,
All right. Ticket number 1 is for $1. Single the 2 in the first leg, 2, 4, 8 in the second leg, going 3, 5 in the Stephen Foster, closing with 3, 7, 9 in the Tepin for $1. That is $18. And then ticket number 2, single the 2 in the first leg, 2, 4, 8 in the second leg. If it's a 4-horse race, you can just hit all, but if not, it'll be 2, 3, 4, 5 in the Foster, and then again 3, 7, 9 in the finale. For 50 cents, that is $18. So $36 ticket with a chance to hit it a couple times for 50 cents if you get sovereignty or magnitude on.
all right, Jimmy D, close it out.
Not going to be much different, as we said earlier, but I'm seeing the first horse cornucopian with the 1, 2, 6 in the second leg, with the single of sovereignty, and the 6, 7, 8, 10 in the third leg. I would make a $4 pick for it's a $48 bet, looking to make a couple $100. That's all. But I think you got 2 horses that, more normally I tell you guys that this big days, there's upsets, but sometimes, especially in these, winning your in races with the Breeders' Cup, it's hard to get an upset when you got 4 horses in the race. There's no value in that race. Normally, I would tell everybody, do not bet that race if this doesn't have a full field, being at least 7. It's not worth the value. The value decreases, paramountly, and some days are like that. And I got to laugh, Tommy, because the Stephen Foster, Kentucky adopts their own. And I alluded to it earlier. He's Beautiful Dreamer. He also wrote My Old Kentucky Home. So Kentucky adopts him. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my friend, just to keep things straight. But anyhow, let's pick 4. I didn't hear everybody say that, but we've been knocking on the door. Most of us have got knocked out with one race.
Well, it's one of those where if you combine the picks, I think we would probably have hit the
really.
I mean, obviously,
Honestly,
prices get
real
crazy,
close.
but
I mean, I think it's as good as anybody that I've listened to on the radio for, and they were priced. This one's ultimately free. So I think you're getting your money's worth, public, for the hundreds of people that are watching. Keep watching. It's a freebie, and you may turn it into some money.
yeah, we shall see. And again, let's just hope the weather does hold out, and at the very least, the races stay on the turf. Maybe you get some scratches, but we can kind of keep the semblance of the picks that we gave out. But let's hope everybody does well. And it was episode 211 of Broadsheet Hustle. Have a great night.
Take care.